In the depths of night, where shadows linger and the moon's pale light doth softly glow, the prophet's voice, a somber ballad, spoke of judgment, sorrow, and woe. Isaiah's words, like mournful echoes, wove a tale of a vineyard fair, a song of love turned bitter lament for Israel's fate laid bare. Let me sing a song of my beloved, a love song of his vineyard fine. On a fertile hill he planted it, a choice and precious vine. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with choicest vine. He built a watchtower in the midst and hewed out a winepress for the wine. He looked for it to yield sweet grapes, but it brought forth only wild. O now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, hear this trial. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done for it? Why, when I looked for it to yield grapes, did it bring forth only bitter spit? Now I tell you what I will do to my vineyard, my beloved and fair. I will remove its hedge, and it shall be devoured, its walls broken down in despair. I will make it a waste, it shall not be pruned nor hoed. Briars and thorns shall overtake it, and the clouds will withhold their rain bestowed. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel's mournful cries, and the men of Judah are his pleasant planting, but they bear no guise. He looked for justice, but behold bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard a cry of anguish echoing in the darkness beneath the desolate sky. Woe to those who join house to house, who add field to field, till there is no room, and you are made to dwell alone in the midst of the land's dark gloom. The Lord of hosts has sworn in my hearing, surely many houses shall be desolate, large and beautiful houses, without inhabitant, desolate their fate. Woe to those who rise early in the morning, that they may run after strong drink, who tarry late into the evening, till wine inflames their every thought and think. They have lyre and harp, tambourine and flute, and wine at their feasts, but they do not regard the deeds of the Lord, or see the work of his holy priests. Therefore my people go into exile for lack of knowledge. They're brought low, their honored men are famished, their multitude parched, with thirst they go. Sheol has enlarged its appetite and opened its mouth beyond measure, and the nobility of Jerusalem, her multitude, shall descend in somber treasure. Man is humbled, each one is brought low, the eyes of the haughty are downcast, but the Lord of hosts is exalted in justice, and the holy God shows himself vast. Then shall the lambs graze as in their pasture, and nomads eat among the ruins. In the wake of judgment's fire, the land shall find new solemn tunes. Woe to those who draw iniquity with cords of falsehood, who pull sin as with cart ropes, who say, "Let him be quick, let him speed his work, that we may see it devoid of hopes." Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter, confusing wrong and right. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own sight. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and valiant in mixing strong drink's blight, who acquit the guilty for a bribe and deprive the innocent of their right. Their root will be as rottenness, and their blossom go up like dust in the night. For they have rejected the law of the Lord of hosts, despised the word of the Holy One. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against his people, till justice was done. He stretched out his hand against them and struck them down with might. The mountains quaked, their corpses lay like refuse in the streets out of sight. For all this his anger has not turned away, his hand is still stretched out. He will raise a signal for nations afar, whistle for them to come about. Swiftly, speedily they come, none weary, none stumble, their arrows sharp, their bows bent, their horses' hooves like flint, their wheels like a whirlwind's harp. Their roaring is like a lioness, they roar and seize their prey. They carry it off, none shall rescue, no one to answer, none to stay. They will growl over it on that day like the growling of the sea. And if one looks to the land, behold, darkness and distress, the light darkened, never free. Thus Isaiah sang his mournful ballad beneath the moon's ethereal glow, a tale of judgment, sorrow, and hope beneath the stars' eternal show. In the cadence of his somber verses, a future painted stark and true, of consequence, redemption's call, and a world to rise anew. In the stillness of the midnight hour, where shadows whisper ancient tales, the prophet's voice, a solemn murmur, spoke of visions divine and veiled. Isaiah's heart, both stirred and trembling, witnessed glory, pure and bright. In the year King Uzziah died, he saw the Lord in holy light. Upon a throne, high and exalted, the Lord sat in his majesty. The train of his robe filled the temple, a vision of divinity. Seraphim stood above him, 6 wings each did they possess. With 2 they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet in humble stress, and with 2 they flew in the radiant expanse. They called to one another, a chorus of celestial might, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, the whole earth is full of his glory's light. The foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of those who called, and the house was filled with smoke, a symbol of his presence enthralled. Woe is me, I cried, for I am undone, a man of unclean lips am I, and I dwell amidst a people of unclean lips beneath the ever-watchful sky. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts, in his divine domain, the purest light, the holiest flame no mortal eye can sustain. Then flew one of the seraphim with a burning coal in hand, taken from the altar's fire, by tongs it was carried, a symbol so grand. He touched my mouth with it and said, Behold, this has touched your lips, your guilt is taken away, your sin is purged, no longer grips. I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me in faith and reverence thus. He said, Go and tell this people, Hear ye indeed, but understand not. See ye indeed, but perceive not. Their hearts are dull, their ears are heavy, their eyes are shut, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed, removed from fears. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, Until cities lie waste without inhabitant, houses without people, and the land is utterly desolate, in abandonment. The Lord will remove men far away, the forsaken places will be many, and though 1/10 remains in it, it shall be burned again without any. As the terebinth and the oak leave stumps when they are felled, so the holy seed will be the stump in this land where sorrow has dwelled. In the moon's soft ghostly glow, where shadows dance with silent grace, Isaiah's vision, a tapestry woven of divine encounter and sacred place, a message of warning, of hearts grown cold, of ears and eyes sealed tight, yet within the somber prophecy, a flicker of hope's enduring light. For in the aftermath of judgment's flame, a remnant shall remain, a holy seed, a stump of faith from which new life will regain. Thus, in the stillness of the night, beneath the stars' eternal gleam, Isaiah's words, both grave and hopeful, lingered like a haunting dream. The prophet's voice, with solemn clarity, carried through the midnight air a tale of divine encounter, of judgment, and of a future fair. For though the path be dark and daunting, with trials and suffering sown, the promise of redemption's dawn, through faith and grace, shall be known.